Hey guys, I miss seeing you guys so much. Bear with me while I'm learning the tech here. Okay, couple reminders before we get into Module 13, because again, we know how much our book expects you to remember everything from before, and I just want to make sure there's a couple things that you are keeping in mind as we enter this chapter. So, one of them is last chapter we made a chart. And so when we did this chart for the squared, cubed, fourth power, fifth power, etc., we started with a number like, for example, 2. And we said, okay, 2 squared is 4, times 2 more would be 2 cubed, which is 8, times 2 more would be 2 to the 4th, which is 16, times 2 more would be 2 to the 5th, which is 32. Okay, and then we also talked about 3, and we said, okay, 3 squared is 9, 3 cubed is 27, your favorite number. 3 to the 4th is 81. 3 to the 5th, or 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 243. And we also did that with the number 4. 4 squared, 4 cubed, 4 to the 4th, 4 to the 5th. And then we also did it with 5s. 5 squared, 5 cubed, 5 to the 4th, 5 to the 5th, etc. And we, I think, made actually a little bit bigger chart. But I just want to remind you of what these are, because so whatever number we started with for x, that was our base, and then we were doing that to a power, okay? So squared, cubed, fourth power, fifth power, etc. And part of why we made the chart, if you remember, is that other than 2, even at 3, these numbers get very big very fast, okay? And that's going to be really important coming up in our next chapter, because chapter 13 is on exponential functions. And so those are numbers that get very big or very small very fast. Okay, the next couple of reminders. One is about order of operations. Okay, we had to make sure we used order of operations with Pascal's triangle, because if you were simplifying something like 3 times 2x to the 4th power, remember that we had to do the exponents first before the multiplication. And so to do that, we did 2x to the 4th first. So 2x to the 4th is 2x times 2x times 2x times 2x, or 16x to the 4th. Then it was okay to multiply by 3 afterwards. So we would take that answer times 3, and we would get 48x to the 4th. Okay, just that's going to be important, because as we're setting up some exponential functions, you're going to have some problems that look similar to this, and if you don't do order of operations, your numbers are going to be thrown off. Okay, then a couple more things. Multiplicative inverse, these are some things that they think you remember. I don't know the last time you heard it called a multiplicative inverse, but we've talked about reciprocals. Okay, and reciprocal is really just what a multiplicative inverse is, because basically the two numbers multiply to give you 1. So, for example, if we had 5/16, okay, you know to do the reciprocal as 16 over 5. So that's easy peasy. Where it gets a little more confusing is if you're given a decimal instead. You're not really doing the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal straight from the decimal. Before you do that, you turn it into a fraction. So in this one, 0.9 is 9/10. So we would do that, and then you would flip the fraction over, get the reciprocal, and you have 10 over 9. Another thing they think you remember that you may not from before is a little bit of exponential function stuff that you've done. And so here's an example problem. 12 times 1.5 to the x minus 5 power. And they're going to tell you that x is 8. And so just plug in for x like we normally would. That means we have 12 times 1.5 to the 8 minus 5 power. Okay, and again, this is where those order of operations come in. This power, 8 minus 5, is really 3. But to do this problem, we have to do this part first. So we're going to do 1.5 to the third power. You probably want to have a calculator handy when you're doing these. If you don't have one at home with you, if you go online, I think Desmos has a graphing calculator online that you can do all this stuff with. But so 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5 gives us 3.375. Then we multiply that by 12. Okay? And that gives us our answer, 40.5. And then the other thing that they think you remember, and I honestly don't remember if this is from Algebra 1 or geometry with you guys, but geometric sequences. And geometric sequences will give you, it'll give you like a first term, and then it sort of tells you the rule. So if your first term, t sub 1, that little sub 1 just means it's the first term. Remember that the t sub 1 is not the same as if it's a power of 1. It's just this number here is just telling you which term it is. So your first term is 2, and then they have a rule for the nth term. And they're going to say it's negative 3 times t sub n minus 1. And this is fancy math writing for the term before. Okay, that just means whatever term you had before. So, for example, if I want to get the second term, I take negative 3, because that's in the rule, and I multiply it by the first term. Well, what was our first term? They gave it to us, and they said it was 2. So this is really just negative 3 times 2, and we get negative 6. So to get the third term, we're still taking negative 3 from the rule, and now we want the second term. Well, what was our second term? It was that negative 6 that we just got. So negative 3 times negative 6 gives you 18. And then if I want to get the fourth term, I take negative 3 from the rule times the third term, which was 18, and it gives me an answer. If I want to get the fifth term, I take negative 3 times that answer, etc., etc., etc. Okay? What I'd like you guys to do is either pause the recording and go ahead and try these 8 practice problems that are on the screen right now, or I will also upload this document into our little list of materials that you guys have, and you can do that. And then if you try those, I am going to have the answers on the screen below. Okay, so right now is a good time to pause and check back in a minute, and I will scroll up and show the answers. Oh, you didn't pause. Put it on pause. Okay, so here we go. These answers are reduced. So they took the decimals, put them into fractions first, and then reduced. Did the reciprocal and then reduced. And then there are answers for the exponential functions. And there are our geometric sequences. Okay, if you have questions on those, shoot me a note on the Remind. I'm going to be playing with some more tech this week. I know there's some other things, Zoom, Google Meets, things like that. I'll be working on trying to be able to be available for you guys on those. But while I'm learning the tech, because yes, I'm still old and uncool, be patient with me. I'll keep posting things daily, and just shoot me a question if you don't get it. Okay? Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I miss you guys. And lesson 13.1 soon.